I'm doing up here again. Let's just say that they need to do a better job of locking the doors. Thanks for tuning in to our late night show. We were able to move from our later time slot to join you here this morning. We are here to kick off another school year. Yes. I love Convocation Day. It's like a family reunion. And the best part is that I get to be up here and I don't have to mingle with any weird cousins. How was your summer? Great. How was your summer? Great. Speaking of summer, got some news and headlines for you. Did you hear that in his 4th of July address, President Trump said that the Founding Fathers took control of the airports during the Revolutionary War? So let's thank a teacher. And they say private education is so much better than public. Also in the news, Teacher Supply Store Lakeshore Learning is featuring a brand new section in its stores. This section will include Tums, wine, and Xanax. Oh, what is that? Oh, sorry, sold out. Hey, middle school teachers and staff, you get to go back to your home schools. And you get air conditioning. As a note from administration, they would like you to know that Hawaiian shirts and industrial-sized fans are no longer required for work. However, they are still adjusting the AC, so they say that being able to see your breath is completely normal. It's fine. Your lips are blue. It's fine. It's fine. The first day is Monday. Can you believe? Monday. I love being out front at drop-off on the first day. Just seeing their happy, shining faces. As they shove their kids out of the car, they slam the door, and they peel out of the parking lot. Karen, happy hours at 8:30, honk honk. You know, each school year brings with it an opportunity to reflect and note the passage of time and maybe set some goals. My dad is a teacher. Did you know that? Probably not. You don't know my life. He teaches high school business in Buffalo, New York, so not here. You don't know him. And he's exactly 360 student attendance days away from retirement. Yeah. But it's not like he's counting or anything. A couple years ago, he had to move rooms. He got sent to the top floor, and it was really, really hot. So he stopped wearing his sports coat. And then a couple years after that, it was still really, really hot, so he quit wearing a tie. And as he gets closer to retirement, he keeps deleting items of clothing. And now this year, the second to last one, I think his colleagues are a little worried that this is the year he doesn't wear pants. And as he gets close to retirement, he's kind of feeling like he's done. He's a little bit over it. And when you're there, you'll probably feel the same way too. And it would be pretty easy for him to slack off and coast through to retirement. It would be pretty easy to just blow off that last evaluation. But he wouldn't do that. And you wouldn't do that either. Because you wouldn't do that to your kids. You would be the best teacher that you can be for your kids, and you would bring them the best version of yourself, and then you would retire triumphantly, pants on. We got a great show for you today. We have a new superintendent to meet. We have the intergenerational quartet. Put your hands together. Please welcome our first musical guest, the Heights High a cappella group called Gold Rush.
Would you please rise for our national anthem?
It's a group currently comprised of alumni, seniors, and juniors. We've got 2 more songs for you, and we hope to see you at all of our concerts.
Welcome back, teachers. I hope you all had a great summer, and I hope you all have a wonderful, successful 2020 school year.
That was Gold Rush. They're really good. We're going to take a moment to introduce the band. They call themselves the Intergenerational Quartet. They feature several alumnus. Somebody who graduated from here, you know this. Featuring Tim McDonald on sax, graduate of 05. Brent Hamker on guitar, not a Heights grad, but we're glad to have him. Malik Winfield on bass, class of 19. And Pierce Braxton, the third, on drums, also class of 19. Welcome back to our late night show. Feedback. Sorry. Anybody here from out of town? Any out of town visitors today? No? No? How about anybody from Oxford? Okay. Hey band, we need some tunes. You know what to do. You hear your name, you raise your sign, you yell louder than the last people. Oxford, we're gonna do that again, but louder. Stand up. Stand up. playing. We interrupt your scheduled programming to announce that someone lost their keys. They have a leather tag that says Puerto Rico. It's a Toyota key. Several of these kinds of keys. And a little tag thing. They're right there. Now they're right there. Our first segment is called Kicking It Old School Photos. We asked you to send in an old yearbook photo of yourself when you were a child, along with a current photo of yourself. And we're going to play Guess Who That Tiger Is? We're going to get a picture up here. I will give you the building where this person works, and then that building can shout out who they think it is, and then we'll reveal the answer. All right, Boulevard, who's this fine gentleman? It totally is. Reveal. You're good at this game. That is indeed a principal, Michael Jenkins. Sir. Rock Smith, who is this fine lady? You got it. Heather Calvert. ELA teacher from Rocks Mid. Also from Rocks Middle School. Who is this? Joshua Luton, science teacher. We're having a hair moment. This is beautiful. From the Board of Ed. It is. Nancy Pepler, Supervisor of Community Partnerships. From Monticello. No. From High Tide. I don't think I'm hearing the right name. Give you a clue. Give you a clue. PE. Coach Robo. That's a tough one. From Rocks Mid. These glasses are everything. Rock Smith. Yeah. Yeah. Suzanne Nelson, ELA teacher. From Monticello. Yeah. Randy Hawkins, Matt. From Rock Smith. Mark Dockery, Spanish. From Monticello. Yeah. Yeah. Angela Stern, who's a paraprofessional. From Roxelle. Lily Daniels, second grade. From the Board of Ed. That was Dr. Paul Lombardo. Now, that last picture of Dr. Paul Lombardo. Yeah, let's go back to that. Oh. I think I need some answers. Please welcome my first
for having me on tonight. This is wonderful.
So glad we could get in touch with your people and you're free.
Yeah, my agent was, he got them last night, so I was able to fly in and see these great people here in Cleveland Heights University.
Did you take that red eye?
I had that red cross, yes.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a killer. That's a killer. So, that picture of you, can you tell us when it was taken or what's going on with the hair?
Yeah, actually, that was when I went to Ohio State University, so that was the day I was, came with my mom, and we were going through orientation. And I went out with my friends the night before, and, no, I was 18, so, you know, what 18-year-olds do, right? And they took that picture then, and, yeah. I had
The next day, they took a picture?
The next day, yeah.
Oh, they always do. It's always the next day.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy.
Now, another question for you here. Dr. Paul Lombardo here is like that guy at the party where people are saying, what does he actually do?
Do you really say that?
I do.
All right, let's set it straight now.
I do. What does Paul actually do?
I send out a lot of emails already.
That's what he does. What do you really do? What's your job title and what do you actually do?
Okay, I'm Assistant Superintendent of HR and Operations, so I work with a great bunch of support people that support all these great people out here. IT, transportation, food service, business and operations, safety and security, and we work to support everyone here and our students.
So
that's
HR.
what we do.
So HR department.
HR department, yeah.
Do you work through the year, like in the summer?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, what else are you going to do on the summer, right? You get bored, you got to work.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. No. So in the picture with your something headache and stop screaming at me, stop screaming at me.
Yes.
Did you have in mind already, I'm going to work in HR in a school district?
No, it'll be shocking, but no, that didn't. Always wanted to be a teacher. Actually, I wanted to be a doctor, and that didn't work out.
Like a medical doctor?
A medical doctor, yeah.
Yeah, gross.
What's that?
Yeah, gross.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a medical doctor, but I'm a little clumsy, and I make little errors here and there. And if I was a doctor and I hurt someone, I couldn't live with myself.
That would not be a fun surgery.
So I thought I could be in education, and if things happen to people mentally, they'll never figure it out until many, many years later. Joking, very joking. But no, I love education. I always wanted to be a teacher, a principal, and just work with kids.
Did you start as a teacher?
I did. I was a math teacher, high school math teacher, 7-12 math teacher. My first job was in Maui, Hawaii, which was kind of cool. I was able to be a math teacher there. And
You said Hawaii?
yeah, Hawaii.
Hawaii?
Hawaii. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's shaka.
Yeah.
Shaka, bro.
What do they call the foreigners? Do you remember that name?
Oh, yeah, that's a bad
Oh,
name.
yeah, that's a bad
Yeah, that's a
one.
bad name
That's
for
not nice.
someone like, yeah, that's good. I understand.
It's like a gringo. You like a gringo.
Yeah, I was called that a couple times. I wasn't so nice.
I get that. So, we're about to show a little video from the HR department.
Yes, we're very excited about this.
Yeah, tell us about this little video and how you got inspired to make it, or how that all
Yeah,
came
so
past.
about 4 years ago, Carla Morris, you know Carla, in our office. Carla's in the house here. For 4 years, we've been talking about a video to show just how great it is, because CHUH is the best place to work. Are you with me?
Yes?
And people that are here understand that, but we try to get the best of the best here, so we thought we'd put together a video which showcases principals, teachers, transportation, custodians, everyone that works in our district, to show people that you definitely want to consider Cleveland Heights University when you come here. And we were doing this for 4 years, and then Maya Smith, who joined us in February. Maya is in the house right there. She started in February, and she wanted, we said, can you really get this together? Work with Kathan, and worked with, you'll see, people from the district in there. They got everyone together, and Adam Dew, who does some, Adam Dew, yeah? Adam Dew, great guy. We consulted with him, and here's the final product, which we'll be putting on all our postings.
Great. thanks for joining us tonight, Dr. Paul Lombardo. Now we know what you do.
Okay, thanks for having me.
So glad we cleared that up.
All right.
Please enjoy this video from the HR department about why Cleveland Heights is the best place to work. And thank you, Paul Lombardo, for joining us tonight.
In a remarkable community, comprised of neighbors from an array of backgrounds, reflecting colorful personalities and ideas.
Let the games begin!
CHUH is the best place to work. It's where I started my career as an educator. You can't do this job alone. Nobody can.
Because the name of the game, collaboration here in the district. The rules aren't just determined by the teaching staff or by the principal. They're determined by what your kids need. Every player, every stakeholder is a part of that. From our teachers, to our lunch aides, to our before and after care programs, to our bus drivers, to the principal, and education. We listen to each other, we support each other around what is best for kids.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, how you doing? Good morning, how you doing, sir? How's it going, everybody? My name is Cameron Axel. Proud to be a bus driver in Cleveland Heights, University Heights. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Students, they're our future. And if we want to invest in our future, we need to invest in our kids. And as long as I'm vertical, I'm going to make it my business to do that every single day. I want to help CHUH create an environment conducive to productivity and learning. And the winner of today's academic challenge.
Public school is for everyone. I think public school is the future. And what I mean by that is not year 2030. What I mean is it's your own personal future. It's your opportunity to change your timeline and decide where you want to go and what you want to be. Because the opportunities of this school are just infinite.
I think it's a beautiful morning. I think it's great that people came out and decided to take a look and take pride in Cleveland Heights and this new building. I mean, it's a tremendous accomplishment by the school district, by the taxpayers.
Not knowing a lot, and the people here in this community, this learning community, professional community, took me up under their wings, and I was able to grow from the principal, my teammates, everybody. We just all worked really hard together. It's all about recognizing people for what they do, and I think we do a good job of it.
The people in this room and the people in this community, it builds something in me that every single thing that I do for this city. And I know it sounds cliche, but I promise you, every single thing that I do out there, when you see me dancing in the end zone, that's Cleveland Heights right
There will be hardships, but there will also be times of celebration and immense joy. Through all these times, we must endeavor to obtain our goals, yet not so vigorously that our self-interest cause us to lose sight of helping each other. Instead, let's strive to uplift each other. We'll reach the end together, happily, hand in hand, look over all we've been through, and proclaim we made it.
I think I've waited all my life for this experience to be able to be here now and to see it happening. It's truly inspiring.
So there's just a lot of opportunity in this district. If you have a chance to join us as a family, you need to take it.
That's what it's about. It's a great place to be, and I'm blessed and honored to have started my career here and then really see it grow here. And I would encourage everyone to want to come here to Cleveland Heights, University Heights.
And we're back. My next guest is someone brand new to our district, so we will give her a warm welcome. Her last gig was in Chicago. She was there for quite a while, 23 years to be exact. That's far too long to be living with thick crust pizza. That's not how we do it in New York. It's just not how it happens. But she calls Cleveland home, so she is back home and ready to rock. Please welcome Liz Kirby.
Good morning, Tiger Nation. Good morning. My name is Liz Kirby, and I am the new superintendent for the Cleveland Heights University High School District. I am so excited to be here and so blessed to have the opportunity to serve the students, families, staff, teachers of this community. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I am just so glad to be here. It's an awesome day, and it has been an awesome 2 weeks for me since I officially began in this role on August 1st. This is also my first convocation, and so this big pep rally is a new experience for me. I worked in a district where we couldn't gather the entire community in an auditorium, unfortunately. So to have the chance to see everyone who every day seeks to touch the lives of students is a tremendous, tremendous opportunity. I want to thank Kathan and her team and Maggie for putting this great day together. There are three things that I want to accomplish as I address you this morning. First, I want to share a little bit about my background and experience so you can understand the principles that undergird my work and why I do or will do the things that I do. I then want to share some of the experiences that I've had over the past 2 weeks as I've transitioned into this experience that show me and showcase how special this district is. And finally, I want to share the strategic focus for the 2020 school year as we prepare for the first day of school on Monday. So just a little bit about myself. Now, there are a lot of ways that people can describe themselves and share their experiences. And for me, the road I have traveled as a student, as a teacher, and as a leader biases me to share my story through the lens of schools. All of the experiences that I've had in all those roles have shaped the framework that I use today to lead and to serve others. Like many of you, there's no question that my first teacher, the first teachers I had in my life were my parents. So here you'll see my mom, Lena Kirby, my dad, Frank Kirby. We're actually standing with Arnie Duncan, the former Secretary of Education, at an event in Chicago. I'm the daughter of two former educators. They both worked over 40 years for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, but they also built a home for me, for my brother and sister, where education was valued and excellence was expected. So I was saying to Jody, we were talking about libraries, and I said, oh, I love libraries. My mother we would spend all day on Saturdays in the libraries, of course, after we cleaned the house, right? Sundays would be devoted to church, Sunday dinner, and getting ready for the week. Mondays, I don't know where my mother found a piano teacher that cost $3 a lesson, but Mondays were dreaded for me, piano lessons, because I was never ready and I could never play the music, but we still went for 14 years. I can play Pomp and Circumstance, though. I can't play that. And throughout the week, the week was filled with school, of course, homework, and school activities. What I didn't realize then was that I was getting a framework of what a quality education looks like for a child, both at the home site, but also in schools. I'm so happy today that my foundation is here. My mom was able to come this morning, so she's here with us. is here as well. They're road dogs, they're traveling buddies, they go everywhere together. And, you know, my mom was a teacher, and a lot of folks even here know Madame Kirby. She was a French teacher. We were coming in downstairs, and Robo said, we're both walking, right? So Robo said, Miss Kirby. And I said, how does he know you? And he was talking about me. So, you know, that just shows, you know, we're making a transition. I guess now I will have the opportunity here in Cleveland to establish, you know, my relationships as an educator. It's not a surprise that being in the home of two educators, I became a teacher, loved teaching, loved learning. My first students were stuffed animals and also my sister. She's doing really well, so I think I did a decent job. So, but after home, the schools that I attended taught me a lot of lessons. And on this slide, this kind of represents the journey that I took. K-8, I went to St. Adelbert School, a Catholic school that is at 83rd and Quincy. I went to Hawken after that. Very, very, very different environments, but both of those schools really emphasize rigor, preparation, self-esteem, pride, and educating the whole child. They taught these schools, demographically different, shared a commitment to building leaders, and teaching students, most importantly, to serve their communities. College and grad school expanded my lens more. I went to Harvard as an undergrad, University of Chicago. I received a master's there. Someone gave me a Harvard flag too. I have to say thank you when I went to visit one of the schools yesterday. Both these schools really exposed me to the world and really taught me practices, instructional practices that were happening nationwide, and also really emphasized the need to apply the research to practice to really make a difference in the lives of students. But I would say, of all the experiences that I had, teaching became my greatest teacher. My first day in the classroom, and I was sharing this with the principals, I didn't really know what I was doing. Which, you know, I had a pretty expensive education, so one would think that I would be ultimately prepared, but you know what it's like when you sit in front of that first group of students on your first day. You have a lot of knowledge in your brain, but aren't really clear how to communicate that out in a way that kids will actually learn and retain that learning. To this day, when I see my first students, I just apologize and I thank them for being patient with me as I learn how to master the craft. But also really important in that were the colleagues that surrounded me, that supported me in my early years of teaching. I was a social studies teacher, and one of the teachers, Bonnie Tarda, saw me struggling, and she just gave me a full file cabinet of materials to use in my classrooms because I was staying up until 2 in the morning trying to create new lessons for my students. So I ended my career before here in Chicago Public Schools, and there I worked at Kenwood Academy as a teacher, as an assistant principal, and as a principal. And then I worked for the whole district, overseeing all of the schools and all of the assistant superintendents there. So my journey as a student extends from 130th and Buckeye to Chicago, Illinois, and now I am in Cleveland Heights, University Heights. So happy to be here. I am home. And you know, one thing about Cleveland folks, no matter where you go, you guys probably experience this if you've left and come back, Cleveland people understand each other. Cleveland people connect with each other. And they understand how to survive really challenging sports seasons and still remain a fan. So, when the Browns won the first game last year, it was like winning the Super Bowl. It didn't really matter what happened the rest of the season. So, along the way, through my journey, I've learned lots and lots of lessons, and some of those I want to share with you as we get ready to start the school year. So 5 principles I want to really talk about what I've learned in my experience. One is this notion that we have to believe. We have to believe in the work. We have to believe that we can reach the goals we have set for our district, our schools, and our classrooms. We have to believe that the scholars can meet our expectations and exceed those expectations in academics, in the arts, in extracurricular activities, and in service. We have to believe that we can do the work. So this is a challenging state, right? Ohio, I'm learning a whole lot about Ohio that's very, very different from Illinois. And I know that that state report card does not reflect the greatness of the district. I know. So my task is to work with you to make sure that the work that we're doing is expressed accurately. But guys, we can do it, and I need for you to believe that we can do it. Next is expect. So once we have the belief, we have to have expectations. Expectations of our scholars, expectations of ourselves, expectations grounded in excellence. It has to be the standard. This means seeking to do our best in every role in the district. No matter what you do, we will stay at the top of our game. This is important because the students are watching us. We can believe, but they will also look to see what we actually do to show that belief. This means communicating these expectations with words and actions and with love. Next, we have to prepare. The only way that we'll be able to meet these high expectations is by committing ourselves to action and to the work. This means ensuring that we are ready to execute at the highest levels each day in all of our roles, but also staying committed to our own growth and development. We have to really model the lifelong leader philosophy and seek ways to constantly expand ourselves. The learning never ends, not for the students and not for us. Being prepared in classrooms and in our schools, being prepared in our work with teachers and staff, being prepared as we support our principals, administrators, and then for me and my team, being prepared as we set up and develop and maintain strong central office structures so that we can support all of you. Connected to that is this notion of support. We know that it is our job to support students academically as it relates to their social emotional needs. We know that it's important that you support your colleagues and collaborate together in practice. We know that it's important that central office provides supports to you to make your jobs easier and to give you the tools so that you can execute at the highest levels. And we know that we all have to support each other and work in collaboration around this work. I was so impressed when I attended the TAP retreat and I saw the teams of administrators working with their teachers on school-wide goals to create better environments for students. It was something new for me. I had never seen anything like that before in a large district venue. And those are the kind of models that we have to continue to stand on so that we can all get to the finish line and have success together. Last, the need to assess. Not only do we have to believe, what was it? Believe, see, I'm 46, let me tell you. One of those 40s, if not there yet, you just wait. Believe, expect, prepare, support, and assess. We have to engage in the practice of constant reflection. We have to really be aware of how close we are to meeting our goals, right? It's like losing weight, honestly. I get on the scale every morning. Now, moving from one city to another and all the other things that have happened, I've seen that scale creep up a little bit. But I have to engage in the practice of assessing where I am all the time so that I can make adjustments in the decisions that I make every day, so that I can remain healthy and able to really serve you all. In the same way, we have to assess where we are in our practice. We have to assess where our students are in their learning. We have to assess the overall progress that we're making towards our goals and be committed to making adjustments if that assessment demonstrates that that's needed. So these 5 principles provide a framework for our practice, especially as we engage in the last year of our strategic plan. One of the things I was most impressed with when I was interviewing for this opportunity was this plan. And I met with Dr. Dixon and I said to her, you really have embedded these 5 goals in the work of the district because I see it everywhere and people really speak this language. It is clear, it is comprehensive, and it is research-based. So my intention as I enter my first year is not to change the strategic plan. We will continue to work on these things, but we're going to go deeper in the work. And so that notion of assessment really connects here. What's working well as relates to the strategic plan? How is it manifesting itself in our classrooms? What are the measures that we need to have in place so that we know clearly if we're on the right track? And what adjustments do we need to make as we prepare for the 2025 strategic plan? So we're going to go deep. We're going to deepen the work. We'll stay faithful to those goals. We're going to continue that path. And I'm really going to push everyone to really open up all the things that we're doing to see where it is that we want to build on our success and where is it that we want to improve. So as I close, I want to share with you some of the experiences that, for me, really capture the spirit of Tiger Nation. You know, it's everything from a brand new parent of the district who has a kindergartner coming into Boulevard Elementary School, who has decided to donate and initiate this urban gardening project, is providing all of the funding and the direction, and is working in partnership with the school. Brand new parent has put all these resources and thought to providing this experience to students. It's also a seasoned parent, a grandmother at Oxford Elementary School who attended kindergarten preparation night last night with her daughter and her granddaughter, who has many of her students who have come through the high schools, but also owns a daycare center in the community who has educated over 700 students, most of whom have attended high schools. It's the high school teachers who came early to do link crew to get the 9th graders ready for their first day of school, wearing the tie-dye shirts with big smiles and great enthusiasm, helping the kids feel better. It's the many retirees who work everywhere in the district. Retirees working in all different types of central office departments, retirees who return again and again and again to substitute in for teachers, to volunteer to serve. That really captures the spirit of the district when someone who's worked here 30 or 40 years retires and comes back to continue that work. It's a trades and grounds team who, by the way, are not here because they're still working, trying to get the Roxbury kitchen ready for the first day of school. So when you see those guys, please thank them because they're working right now to make sure that the students and the staff have a great experience on the first day. It's a kindergartner named Ruby Moon, who is probably the most enthusiastic person I've met ever about the first day of school. Are you excited, Ruby Moon? Yes, I am excited about the first day of school. Ruby Moon has an infectious enthusiasm, which to me just is a culmination of why folks are so happy to be here and why this is such a great place to work. Finally, it's the work of an indefatigable board who is everywhere and attends and supports everything. We have Jody and Jim here. I saw them 2 days ago at the openings of the new middle schools, and the day before at a bond accountability meeting that went until 8 o'clock p.m. When I say that you have a committed board, and I really work with quite a few boards in Chicago, I want you all to know you have a committed, focused, and excited board supporting you. And so one moment that I wanted to capture in terms of the greatness of the community is the recent grand reopenings of the middle schools. So Caitlin and her team are able to put this together, within a day. But this also will give you a real life experience of what's so great about Cleveland Heights, University Heights, as expressed in these renovations. So we're going to roll the tape so you all can get a sense of what's happening.
On behalf of the City of Cleveland Heights, I want to acknowledge is for the students of this school to be coming back to essentially a new school.
It is truly momentous to mark this occasion before Tiger Nation. We remain old school in our new school. These hallways and classrooms remain filled with Heights tradition, yet are new in so many other ways. Generations have passed through them, and generations will pass through them.
Excited to be looking forward to the new renovations in this school.
I'm excited for students to have a new experience. I think that the temperature control and like the new smart boards and equipment is really good.
Those expands our opportunities for learning.
I'm very excited for this school year, and it's going to be my last, so I hope it's the best.
When you change the environment for a student, you change the trajectory for them. Their future becomes brighter, their opportunities seem more accessible and possible, and they do become that. Sky's the limit. It feels more like that in a new space like this.
So before I close, I always want to end thanking so many members of the community for their support of the district and support for me. Certainly our Board of Education, our elected officials, Mayor of University Heights is here supporting us this morning. I have to thank Felicia Gould and Paul Lombardo for supporting me, you know, in teaching me everything about the district. Our cabinet and central office staff, our principals and administrators, wonderful teachers and staff members, parents and community stakeholders, and certainly our students. But there's one person I want to do a special recognition for this morning. When I took this role, and I started meeting one-on-one with folks, and I think one of the first impactful conversations that I had was with Dr. Williams, the interim superintendent. So if anyone in this district captures the spirit of a true tiger, it is Dr. Brian Williams. So please come up and we have a small token of our appreciation. So that concludes my remarks. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in the classroom, in the schools, at the concerts, on the sports fields, in the lunchroom, on the bus routes. Have a great, great school year. Next we will have a presentation on master teacher.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Tiffany Jordan-Shaw. A master teacher demonstrates excellence inside and outside of the classroom through consistent leadership and focused collaboration to maximize student learning. A master teacher strives for distinguished teaching and continuous professional growth as specified by the standards of Ohio teachers. The Master Teacher Committee would like to honor the following educators for successfully renewing their initial Master Teacher designation. Leah Radke, Lorna Askew, and Yolanda Harris. plaque that will be going in your schools. Before I go, I would like all of the master teachers that's ever been designated to stand up for a few seconds. If you ever received a master teacher, please stand up. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. And if you were not standing, hopefully you'll be standing next year. So make sure you go to the informative meeting in October. All right, thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Sydney Ball. I'll be a senior on Monday.
And my name is Erica Hawkins. I'll also be a senior on Monday.
And we're here to introduce your keynote speaker, Jeff Johnson. Jeff is a master communicator, strategist, and architect of social solutions who's as comfortable in front of the camera as he is behind the scenes developing strategy and messages for his clients. The award-winning journalist and communication specialist is currently managing principal for the Baltimore-based strategy firm JIJ Communications, where he provides strategic insight and messaging consulting to clients in the private, public, and entertainment sectors. The firm works with several Fortune 100 and 500 clients to transform their diversity and inclusion work into double bottom-line impact that benefits targeted communities as well as the company's brand value and profits. Over the last 2 decades, Jeff has developed expertise in communications, political engagement, and strategic consulting to create a unique career committed to developing solutions and systematic change. Jeff states, "The problems many of our communities face can be transformed by exploring market-driven solutions that merge the public, private, and philanthropic sectors into ecosystems of impact and power that benefit all of us versus a few."
He's conducted interviews with President Barack Obama and several international heads of state for BET News and provides regular content on the nationally syndicated Ricky Smiley Morning Show. Jeff formerly served as National Director for the Youth and College Division of the NAACP and held an appointment by Russell Simmons as the Vice President of the Hip Hop Summit Action Network. In 2014, Jeff worked with Steve Harvey on his New York Times bestseller, Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success, and is the author of his own book, Everything I'm Not, Maybe Everything I Am. He's the creator, host, and executive producer of Man Cave, a late-night talk show targeting urban men airing on BET. Jeff also dedicates considerable time and resources to organizations committed to racial equity and social justice. Jeff is the honored husband of Jacqueline and the fortunate father of Madison, Miles, Malcolm, Baldwin, and Garvey.
Please welcome to the stage,
Jeff Johnson.
Okay, so 2 things. Good morning. Some of y'all were like, keynote speaker, I'm about to go. So I promise I will not be long. Secondly, they read all of those things and failed to mention that I am a graduate of Taylor Elementary School, Wiley Middle School, and Cleveland Heights High School. And beyond that, am a lifelong friend of your new superintendent. And when I mean lifelong, like I remember the day Julius Hannah got caught in Maria's closet at the house, not supposed to be there, dating Elizabeth's younger sister. You see, I didn't use one of your stories. As you all begin the school year, there clearly is an opportunity to do some amazing work. And I hope that you are excited about it. I am unbelievably, I represent in so many ways what this district creates. And had it not been for Taylor, and not been for Wiley, and not been for Heights, I would not own any of the 3 companies that I own. I would not have been able to travel the world. I would not have been prepared to be able to deal with anybody that comes across my path. I would not have understood leadership in the way that I did. And so my work is fantastic, but it requires me in a real way to travel. In the last year, I normally travel on average about 150 to 200,000 air miles a year. So my assistant, Candace, is very clear about how to move me in and out of place. I literally just flew in from Los Angeles this morning to be with you, and I'm leaving in about 5 hours to be in Baltimore tonight so I can kiss my wife and kids and go to New York in the morning. And so I'm moving. And so if I could just tell y'all a quick story and get you all out of here, let me do that. I was traveling a few weeks ago from Baltimore, Maryland to Phoenix, Arizona. I was traveling from Baltimore, Maryland to Phoenix, Arizona, and my assistant Candace knows that I like to sit in the front on the aisle. So I can get in and out of where I need to go as quickly as possible. I'm running late for the flight, which is typical, because I try to do too much. And I'm running, and I know that they are getting ready to close the door on this flight. So I run, I got my boarding pass out. She's like, we gave your seat away already, but we're gonna get you in the plane. I said, no you didn't. I got my boarding pass right here. Scan the boarding pass. Another one comes out. I go down the tarmac, not the tarmac, but the jetway. And as I'm going down the jetway, I look at my boarding pass and it says 23B. Now for those of y'all who don't travel, 23 is not the front, and B is not the middle. So I'm praying as I'm walking to the back of the plane that nobody is going to be sitting in one of these two seats. In my horror and trepidation, I see sitting in 23A, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith is a healthy man who has clearly had a rough day and was not sure he was sure. Some of y'all did that later, you remember the commercial. In the other seat is Miss Johnson, and she's holding Timmy. A beautiful, adorable, screaming 6-month-old. And so I'm preparing to be on this flight between this funky businessman and this screaming baby. And as you all begin this 2020 school year, some of you understand what it feels like to be in a rock and a hard place. You know what it feels like to deal with state and federal legislators that don't know how to spell education but use it as a political football to pass illogical policies as you attempt to prepare young people to master a global marketplace. You understand what it feels like to walk in the classroom where children are dealing with all kinds of trauma and simultaneously being expected to master subjects and move on to the next level. You know what it feels like to deal with crazy people in your house and expect to show up in the classroom or in the administrative office and be your full self. You know what it feels like to be between a rock and a hard place, but I am telling you that when we challenge ourselves to understand that nobody but you was called for this place, in this time, in that school, in that classroom, in that administrative office, and you gotta remind yourself of the stuff that you've been through already, so that you can prepare your students to be able to get through what they're going through. But I'm on this plane, and Mr. Smith begins to use my my shoulder as an in-flight pillow. And I'm not a patient person. It's a problem for me. And as I begin to lose my mind, I hear the flight attendant come over the loudspeaker and say, ladies and gentlemen, we're preparing the cabin for landing. I'm like, wait a minute. We only been in the air about 45 minutes. We're not getting to Phoenix in 45 minutes. I said, ma'am, what's going on? She said, we're getting ready to land the plane. I said, well, where are we landing? She said, Cleveland. I said, I'm going to Phoenix. She said, well, you got one stop. I said, yeah, my one stop is Phoenix. I said, you need to explain this to me. She said, well, Mr. Johnson, in aeronautical terms, it's what we call a layover. We land in the plane, we're letting some people off, we're getting some other people on, and we're refueling for the rest of the trip. And some of you are in a place where you've got to be in a layover season. There are some people that need to get the hell off your plane. And I mean that professionally and personally. There are people who are ill-equipped to be in the places that they are in to provide a service that they either have decided not to provide or are not prepared to provide or will not provide. I know some of you are uncomfortable because it's you. I don't work for the district. I can say whatever I want. There are fundamentally people that need to be removed from educational environments because not only do they not care about kids, they don't like them. And a district that's as powerful as this one doesn't have the time or the energy or the luxury to have people in positions that just don't want to be here, let alone aren't prepared to be in the spaces that they're in. And it takes the ecosystem to revolt against those that don't want to benefit the ecosystem, for people to understand it's time for you to exit the plane. Some of y'all are real uncomfortable. Other of us need to get people off our plane personally. There are people who you love who can't roll with you. It is necessary in the work that we do to be surrounded by those that feed us, and whether they're feeding us emotionally or feeding us spiritually or feeding us intellectually, it's essential that we don't give energy to those who frankly don't deserve it. And so we've got to be careful about the people that we spend the most time with. The 5 people that you spend the most time with are those that are the greatest reflection of who you are. Let me say that again for some people that are missing it, or those that are calculating, oh, damn. The 5 people you spend the most time with are the people that are the greatest reflection of not only who you are, but where you're going. And so if the 5 people that you spend the most time with are unbelievably negative, unbelievably shiftless, unbelievably unfocused, the reality is you probably are too. Thank you, in the back. And so how do we begin to have a level of intentionality, not of the people you love, or the people who are your circle? I have brothers who I love, who are in this city right now, who I will love for the rest of my life, that will never be a part of my circle. I love you. I pray for you. I follow you on Facebook. I will come to the stuff that you invite me to. You cannot be a part of my circle because you do not have the ability or the discipline or the focus or the work ethic or the commitment to mastery to go the places that I'm trying to go. And so I'm going to give you courtside seats to watch me play, but you can't ball like I ball. How do we get people on the ship that sometimes don't look like us, aren't from the places that we're traditionally from? Some of us are so afraid to make friendships with people that aren't from the places we've always made friendships from, that you're actually denying yourself a source of power because you're so narrow-minded in who you have the capacity to be friends with. This is the year to be disruptive in the relationships that you create. Disruptive in who you ask for help from, disruptive in who you spend time with, because the young people in your classrooms are demanding that you give them something you have not yet fed yourself. and then you gotta refuel for the rest of the trip. You gotta make sure that you consume content. See, PD should not just be about the district-approved set of opportunities that allow you to miss work, to go somewhere, to be trained by somebody, normally who is not. Be seeing these client lists, and y'all know y'all go to PD sometimes and be like, they didn't know anything. How are you curating your own content consumption? The podcasts that you listen to, the books that you read, the magazine articles the TV that you decide not to turn on, that you have the energy and the inspiration to go back into the classroom or to the administrative office or drive that bus or be servicing in some other area in the district. Layovers are so essential because the very power that we need to get to where it is that the final destination is relies on us getting everything on and off the plane and refueled as possible. Make sure you have your layover period. But so I was landing in Cleveland. And Mr. Johnson was getting off the plane. So I was glad that he was not going to be asleep on my arm. I knew I was going to get the in-flight meal, and so I was excited. And as the flight attendant got to the back of the plane, because I normally try to reserve the vegetarian meal, because meat on a plane, sometimes a little suspect. And so she's getting to the 20s, and I hear her say to a man in the 21st row, "Sir, we're out of the vegetarian meal." On most days, I don't profess to be ignorant. But this was a moment that I was going to revel in it. That when she told me that there was no more vegetarian meals, that I was going to act in a way that my ancestors would not approve of. But I was going to enjoy in the moment. And so as she comes back and says, "Can I get you something?" I say it with a little gumption. "I want the vegetarian meal." She said, "Sir, we're out of." It was like in slow motion. "We're out of the vegetarian meal." As I start to stand up, the spirit of my ancestors wanted to protect me from making a fool of myself on the plane. And a flight attendant comes from the back and says, "Mr. Johnson." I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh, we have a meal reserved for you." See, what is for you is for you. As you begin this 2020 school year, it doesn't matter what somebody else does or how somebody else does it or what somebody else says best practice is. You know who your students are. You know your building in ways that other people don't know your building. You know the community and the parents in ways that other people don't know them. You've had relationships with members of the community, even if the school often hasn't had those relationships. Have a level of confidence in the unique brilliance and even divine imperfection that you bring to the job that you're in, so that nobody can tell you you're not enough. Nobody can tell you what you should be doing. Nobody can tell you what you should know. Yes, that there are institutional benchmarks that you are contractually bound to meet. And in the process of meeting those benchmarks, so that those evaluation processes are what you need them to be, you need to walk through them. But there are intangibles. See, because I remember Nina Roseberry, my seventh grade English teacher at Wiley, who on the wall said, "Through these doors walk the most brilliant individuals on the face of the earth." And there were students in that class that were getting D's and C's in other classes and got A's and B's in that class because there was some intellectual gangster about this short, light-skinned woman that would knock you the hell out and simultaneously prepare you intellectually with stuff that you weren't going to get anywhere else. And she brought the best out of every baby that walked in that class because she saw something in them that other teachers refused to see. She went further than other teachers were contractually bound to go to be able to produce what other teachers were afraid to produce, because she did not see students, She saw power. What are the nuances that make you unique to the job that you do? And how do you embrace them so that the impact that you're going to have this school year is beyond whatever measures you're going to be analyzed by within the framework of the district, but are established by whatever being or power or spirit you believe put you here on earth in the first place? What's the why for why you're in these jobs? Because so often we get caught up in the how and the what that we've lost sight of why you're there in the first place. And it's the why that pushes us when other stuff doesn't. It's the why that pushes us when we're having bad days, or when political stuff is getting in the way, or when things in the building just aren't what they need to be. Why did you decide to do this in the first place? And if you don't remember that, take a moment to remind yourself. Take a moment to remind yourself why education, why the classroom, why administration, why service, why politics, why did you do it? Because if you can't answer that question, then you are actually in your own way. Because the how and the what are functional, pragmatic, and tactical-driven processes that, void of an emotional and passionate why, fall short of the ultimate impact, which is preparing a set of babies to be able to realize their best self in a world that constantly online is telling them why they're not enough, constantly telling them why they have to post stuff they don't have to post, constantly feeding them with the level of dopamine that you get from taking drugs, from holding a device that they use more for self-validation than self-amplification and self-advancement. And so you are the difference in those that begin to create filters for how they even use these devices in partnership with what they do or do not have at home, to be able to create a human being that can go into the world with a level of confidence and power to not just work in it. Because if all we're doing is creating employees, then why are you necessary? If all you're doing is creating people that are plugged into a matrix to be able to create a bottom line for some capitalist or multinational company that is only dealing on physics, on numbers and data, then what do we need you for? That's not the district I came from. Miss Ronis in the first grade, and Miss Williams in the second grade, and Miss Jeffries in the third and fourth grade, and Mr. Murray in the fifth and sixth grade, and Miss Roseberry in the seventh grade, and Mr. Hudson, who gave me a love for politics and current affairs because he created games in the classroom that forced us to be able to watch the news and understand what was going on, not because he said it was going to help us, because Negroes wanted to come into the class and win a game. My political philosophy teacher here at Heights, who created this Socratic ecosystem where we were using critical thought to be able to debate and challenge each other, not based on what somebody else said, but using what they said to develop our own political philosophy, so that when we walked into the world, we weren't quoting other people's stuff without the confidence of knowing how that translated into what we wanted the world to become. Mr. Nemechek.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
Who was my speech and debate teacher, who was this metrosexual, brilliantly dressing, perfectly groomed dude before any of those terms were used. Who looked at me as we were developing speech and debate and said, I think you should pick this speech. Now, mind you, we're in Ohio. And if you know speech and debate, you're in mostly rural towns. The speech that he thought made sense for me was the Black Revolution by Malcolm X. I don't think I understood in that moment how profound that was for the rest of my life. That not only was this incredibly kind of tailored white man. So in tune with my spirit that he was able to help me pick a speech that was more who I was than people in my family had the ability to understand. And as I went into small towns in rural Ohio, giving a speech about the Black Revolution, and ultimately winning second in the state in oratorical interpretation, the power and the confidence that I had, because he didn't put me on stage to represent something that he thought could win. He put something in my spirit that was a reflection of the things that needed to be pulled out of me for me to become the man that I was supposed to be. And so often we're attempting to meet the bare minimum by helping young people become what the world is going to think is acceptable, when understanding that greatness is always disruptive. Greatness is always uncomfortable. Greatness is always different. Greatness always challenges us to do things that don't feel good. And so I challenge you in this year to challenge yourself. Because as the plane was landing, I eat my vegetarian meat. And I was preparing to get off the plane to explain to Candace how much I didn't appreciate spending 4.5 hours in the middle seat. I got off the plane and called her and I said, Candace, there's a problem. What? She said, I've been sitting in 23B for the last 4.5 hours and I don't understand why. She said, well, Jeff, I think something's wrong. I said, that's obvious. She said, no, I'm looking at your reservation here. Your reservation says 3B, not 23B. For those of you that don't travel often, 3B is first class. Cleveland Heights University Heights. We have got to stop having a first class reservation with coach implementation and mentality. There is no reason why we should not operate in excellence, not because it is a slogan, or develop mastery, not because it's the moment, the cliche of the day. Because excellence and mastery are exactly part of why we have been given life when others have been taken from us. I fundamentally believe, not from a religious standpoint, but just from the fact that ecosystems ensure that what needs to be in them to survive continues to show up. There are those that serve their purpose and then they are gone. And those of us that remain have a responsibility to the ecosystem to show up in a way that is so unbelievably powerful that it adds value to the entire ecosystem. The problem often is in ecosystems is that we often want to be excellent something else's versus brilliant us's. Y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all know that person that is constantly telling you about your job. And I'm like, well, you not good at what you do. I'm not understanding the critique here when you haven't mastered your stuff. So I'm politely going to ask you to learn to spell mastery before you come talking to me about my stuff. But how many of us, if we're honest with ourselves, want to claim a first-class seat without being first class? We want the awards of mastery without committing to the process of mastery. And so everything I know about this district was that it was imperfect. But I saw mastery in so many places that it acknowledged that mastery doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be committed. It doesn't mean that we don't get anything wrong. It just means that we have a level of desire to ensure that those are teachable moments to improve on them. It doesn't mean that we treat each other right all the time, but Cleveland Heights continues to be an example of what diversity can look like when there's a level of intentionality to it. But if we only have a level of intentionality to diversity, but not a level of intentionality to equity and inclusion and power, then we use diversity as a lowest common denominator term when we're lying about wanting to have power for everybody in the ecosystem. Excellence is about mastering the ecosystem that those that come out of it will be able to become. And so I'll be very honest as I close. I don't really care if you like my speech or not. I'm about to get to the point. As y'all leave, I just want y'all to commit to be like Tyrone. Somebody's supposed to say, who's Tyrone? Tyrone was a little boy from Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Kinda. Like he was the kid who was at Heights that was using somebody else's address. He was from somebody else, somewhere else, but there was a family member that had a level of intentionality to understand that sometimes stuff don't make sense and I want my kid to be in the best school they could be in, so he was there. And he was going down to Natchez, Mississippi to visit his grandmother. For those of you who don't know, Natchez, Mississippi is a town outside of a town, And he and his mother went down to spend time with the grandmother, and they went to the store to get what she needed to cook and to clean for the week. And this little elementary school student walked into the store, and the store owner, who recognized him, said, "Tyrone, it's good to see you. Come back here and grab a handful of candy." And Tyrone looked at him with just Glenville swag and said, "Man, that's your job. You get it." And his grandmother, furious, grabbed him by the elbow and pulled him to the side. He said, "Boy, what's the matter with you? You've been taught better than that. And beyond that, even as a young man, you need to begin using your hands to get the things that you want." And he looked at his grandmother as seriously as a 7-year-old can look at an 82-year-old. He said, "Big Mama, his hands are bigger than my hands. So if he puts his hand in the candy, I can get more candy." It's all about whose hands it's in. In my hands, a football is worth about $45. But in the hands of the Cleveland Browns, I'm saying it's going to be worth a division championship because it's all about in my hands, a basketball is worth about $35, but in the hands of the Cavs, and in my hands, a tennis racket is worth about $100, but in the hands of the Williams sisters, it's brought Grand Slam championships to every game ever played because it's all about whose hands it's in. In my hands, a golf club is a joke. In the hands of Tiger Woods, it brought African-American men to golf in a way that the sport had never seen before. In my hands, a pencil is what I use to write notes for the week. But in the hands of Langston Hughes, it wrote prose that said, "I too am America, I'm the darker brother. They send me to the kitchen when company comes, but I just laugh and eat well and grow strong because one day I'll be at the table when company comes and they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed." In the hands of so many around this country, education is something that parents loathe and that communities are afraid of and that politicians use as a football. But in Cleveland Heights, I always knew it to be something that enabled young people to leave this place and go anywhere in the world with power. The question is, what will you do with your hands? Will you touch young people in a way that you never have before to be able to help them realize what they've never seen before so they can do things they never thought were possible? Will you do things in your classroom that don't make any sense so you can produce outcomes that are astounding? Will you work with other people in ways you never had before because you recognize that your ego isn't as important as your impact? Will you change the places that you get information from so that you can learn things you never did before, where you build things that you never had before, where you touch parents in ways you haven't before, where you work with communities in ways that you were afraid of before, to be able to produce outcomes that we can't create by ourselves. Because if all you're going to do is sit on your hands and do what you've always done, then all you're going to produce is what you always have. But if you're willing to use those hands to create before what seemed impossible, and change the lives of families through education, then understand how the world will be forever changed as a result of your commitment, your gift, your mastery, your uniqueness, and your commitment to build what previously didn't exist for no other reason than because the universe decided to give you another opportunity to do so.
Thank you, Jeff, for inspiring us this morning. Cleveland Heights University Heights, just an example of your impact and your excellence that he manifests. So we're going to close out our program this morning. And again, thank you guys so much for your enthusiasm as we get ready to start the day. Some quick announcements. The alumni photo will be here in the auditorium, so please stay. And I know that there is a meeting that's going to be held here as well. It's Ari Klein. It's going to be held here as well for staff. So that concludes our day. Again, have a great first day, and we will see you out there in the district. Thank you so much.